reality is, the more risk you take, the luckier you get. So people need to learn to take one big risk a day. Every day take a risk and build up that risk muscle, because risk is where success comes.
Risk must be taken for the greatest. Hazard in life is to risk nothing.
Take the biggest fucking risks of your entire life right now. Remember, you have time.
I think that most people, the reason that they lack success in their life is that they lack the courage to make the decisions that need to be made to put them in the position that they want to be in.
You can get so scared, and you can be so easily lulled into the idea that good is good enough, that feeling safe and comfortable is what you should always be looking for. That way of thinking, in your 20s in particular, dead fucking wrong. I want you to start to create this mindset of taking risks and going big.
Go big or go home. Hey, I like that. Welcome to the channel, guys. Don't forget. Well, first of all, happy Friday. Thank you for being here on a Friday. It's not Thursday. It ain't Wednesday. It's Friday, baby. It's the weekend. Look at weekend. Here we come. There we go. So, if you're on YouTube, guys, make sure you subscribe, post notifications always on so you catch a live stream. In the description of YouTube, you can find my X, Twitter, aka Freedom of Speech platform. Go give me a follow, give me a retweet on this live stream. All right. Also, if you're over on Kick, description's there. You can watch me on Kick. I'm trying to build over there on Kick. See, it looks like people have to subscribe, and like you got to be logged in and all that good stuff. So I'm working my way over there. We'll see how that works out. But follow me over there on that end and show the support. Now, guys, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm for damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. Don't ever allow an influencer on any social media platform out there to influence you when it comes to cryptocurrency, because you might get wrecked. Right? This is my opinions for pure entertainment purposes only. We're going to cover a big topic. Did Richard Hart scam us? We're going to talk about it. That is all over Twitter. The big debates that are going on this weekend between influencers, the people that are fighting right now online, whether it's social media outlets like YouTube, videos, content that's being delivered on X, it's all a big debate about the price and did Richard Hart scam us. But don't forget, guys, show support to the channel. You need to pound the like button. All right. You need to smash the like button. We got 10 people so far on YouTube, 10 people on X, 20 people total. I need you smashing, showing the support. Also, don't forget, in the description of YouTube, you'll find my members only club, or you can join the members only channel. And for $2.99 a month, the price of a Cambodian coffee, you'll get a little bit of extra content on a weekly basis on YouTube. Yesterday, I made that car video. I sounded the alarm yesterday about going all in on some cryptocurrencies on PulseChain, and I gave my reason why. And you can check out that video from yesterday. That went live last night. So go check it out. Also, don't forget to show some love to our sponsor of the week in the next couple of weeks as well. Shout out to Dexfi.com. Now, Dexfi, you're going to want to go to dexfi.com/bonds and put the link in the description. It's your easy button yield farming. I mean, I'm telling you, you come to base, you click a button with you got to have ETH. You click a button to mint, right? You would mint your NFT, and it's your NFT that puts you in a position with the treasury bonds, and you're going to earn passive income. Now, the passive income comes in the form of USDC over on base. APR 108.90%, guys. 108.90%. So far, there's been 4,297 total bonds minted. That's $868,199 worth of minted NFTs using Ethereum that is now earning people a piece of their pie at the 108.9% in USDC. Total USDC that's been paid out, guys, $24,218. They're not messing around. Go over to dexfi.com/bonds and check it out. Let's take a look at the comments. Not a scammer, but his products have not lived up to the hype at all. As of today. Gugad, good morning. Don't even mean just price. Like, bro, can you get a roadmap for the ecosystem? Hey, what's up, Crypto with Colin? Damien, what's up? What is a roadmap supposed to do? Roadmaps are for Fugazi documents in the shitcoin community. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know about the roadmaps. Fill that vaults, fools. Use R2Art referral code. Yeah, hey. Go to the OG Web Chef website. If you guys are into the first, I'm going to call it the biggest dApp. It's going to be on PulseChain. Link is always in the description. Go in there. I got some tutorial videos if you want to take part in that. So let's get to the topic of the hour here. Did we get scammed? All right. This is an interesting topic to watch happen. And it's always been about the same thing over and over. Price goes down, you're a scammer. When there is no good price performance, everyone blames the developer. Everyone blames the creator, the founder, right? When things are on and popping, most people are happy. But that also attracts negative sentiment from people who missed that opportunity. Like, they call them haters, they call them all sorts of different names. But people get real salty in this space when they have a missed opportunity. So the first thing that I ever experienced and saw firsthand on what people attacked Richard Hart on was when he transitioned from Bitcoin Maxi to, hey, this is some old technology. I'm switching over to Ethereum. Started talking about Ethereum, the innovation of that. It was early shifting, right? Going from Bitcoin, get into Ethereum. He understood smart contracts. He understood what it brought to the table. And then he created Hex, Ethereum Hex. And let me buzz this music off because we're going to listen to a clip here in a minute, right? With Peter McCormick. And I want you guys to understand, and this is a video is about 5 years old, okay? And when Richard Hart first came onto the scene with Hex over on Ethereum, he got a massive amount of hate from the Bitcoin maxis. For one, switching over to Ethereum. Because first of all, before we even talk about anything, in the eyes of the Bitcoin maxis, in an ecosystem of crypto overall, when there was only Bitcoin and then the birth of Ethereum, and then people started to build smart contracts and tokens on Ethereum, it was so early, the maxis were talking mad-ish about Ethereum. Not only to them was Ethereum a scam, a shitcoin, you know, had no value, was never going to go anywhere. There was a lot of bashing going on between Bitcoin maxis and then the new Ethereum maxis, the people who believed in the innovation of what it did, which is Richard Hart, who was known for being a Bitcoin maxi, right? And before he even made Ethereum or made his token on Ethereum, built Hex on Ethereum, it's interesting about the things he had warned about in crypto and just in life in general about the bad things you can do as far as living habits, whether that's drugs, gambling, leverage trading, or scams, Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes. And BitConnect was one of them. Now we'll go into, you know, what he has done, you know, in his past. But I want to take a look at this interview with Peter McCormick, right? And this was 5 years ago, a live stream between this guy and Richard Hart. The interesting thing is, too, and I don't know if this has a date on when it happened. Yeah, it streamed live on December 5th, 2019, right? So when did Hex launch? When did Hex launch? We're going to take a look really quick. December 2nd, 2019. So this live stream happened 3 days after Hex went live, all right? 3 days. This is before a 2x, 5x, 10x, let alone a 10,000x. And I want you to hear the energy and what this guy has to say about Richard Hart, how harsh he was, because this is everybody that he did an interview with. Richard Hart didn't only address his haters on Twitter or even face-to-face like Tone Vase. He did one-on-ones with Tone Vase. He did different live streams with all sorts of people that had a lot of awful things to say to him. He took these people head-on live streams and face-to-face encounters. Richard Hart is not like the developers that just say, oh, they're fighting me, and they get into a battle with another community. Like you see right now, you're seeing people that are talking smack about each other, and I think we're going to see a first live debate, I think, by Jim Rat and Tiger Crypto. Is it Crypto Tiger? Oh, I forget, man. I like the dude a lot. But, he went in person and settled differences with people face-to-face. And he did the live streams. And he took people on practically every stream he did. He was battling somebody who thought he was a scammer, who thought Ethereum and even Hex was a Ponzi scheme. So let's take a look at how Richard took that head on just 3 days after he launched Hex, which we know was a huge success, massive success. Let's take a look at this part here.
Not obviously bullshit, or you would understand why. So it has higher throughput. It has more modular code that's less likely to fail. It has a more diverse miner ecosystem, which is more robust and less likely to be attacked from nation states, because you could mine it, right? You could get it for free. Like I got in Bitcoin for free. You could get it for free.
Yeah. Well, what's that 4 million ETH for then?
That's for people that chose to do that. It's not a requirement at all. If no one wanted to do that, it would be nothing. Like
I'll be honest, Richard. I didn't come here to debate because I told you before it's not my skill. I don't have the ability. Better
why don't we bring someone else on the call, man?
I know.
If you're unwilling to honestly debate and talk about the ideas instead of the man, and you just want to ad hominem me, you don't want to talk about the actual tech, let's bring someone else on the call. You can chant scammer once every 3 minutes, and this other guy that you bring on Udi, bring on your heroes, bro. Watch me crush them. Bring your heroes here to die. Please.
Yeah. Right. It's 20
I will crush all of them.
No, it's 20 to 12. I just came on to call you a scammer, tell you I was disappointed, tell you I used to like you. I didn't want to really listen to any of your bullshit. I know it's a scam. I know it's bullshit.
Well, I hope that you choose to learn what is actually going on, because you're not doing a good job preventing people from joining. You're doing a good job helping people join, because what you're doing doesn't look good for Bitcoin.
No, this isn't even about Bitcoin. We're not discussing Bitcoin. We're discussing your scam. I just think enough people now, hopefully when they see this, they'll go, oh, I need to research this. Like if some fucking moron thinks, oh, Richard Hart's created better than Bitcoin on Ethereum, they'll go, and then they see loads of people call you a scammer. Hopefully they'll do enough research. Probably, though, you're going to get away with it. You've got your 4 million ETH so far, whatever other bullshit you'll get through it. Although perhaps maybe some of that's just you just pumping it just to make it look popular.
Why don't you do chain analysis and look that the Ethereum's never moved?
Because every minute is a waste of my time with you. I think it's a real shame. I think you're a good dude.
So can we talk? So let's try this. Why don't you talk about anything you want to talk about, and I'll just give you a platform.
Now, you see, in a case where Richard is, like he says he is, he's pretty damn smart with the 143 IQ. There's a lot of people you'll see to go head-to-head with him in a debate and try to get real technical with him. And he will annihilate you on every side, every fence, every side of the fence there possibly is in an argument. If you want to get technical, he'll get technical. If you want to cuss, he'll cuss. If you want to be sarcastic, you want to sound smart, he's going to put you to the test, and he will match that energy. Peter McCormick is one of the first of his kinds before people started going on stream and they couldn't handle the heat and the technical size and just the experience that Richard Hart had, right? And this is, like I mentioned, this stream aired, and I have the date here, live on December 5th, 2019. Hex went live December 2nd, 2019. So this guy is just talking about the 4 million ETH. He's talking about Ethereum that went into the AA lobby. Richard Hart is trying to pick his brain to put up an argument for him, to make a case for him, but he has nothing to say other than, you're a scammer, this and that. That's where everybody started off with. Everybody that matched up to him always results to name calling. Then they start calling him fat. They start calling him this and that. It's like in every stream you hear. And now you kind of see that on Twitter, where because the price is down, scammer, right? And then you think, like, how many cycles have these people been in? You know, we talked about this yesterday with the 90% dips that happened in crypto that he put on the face and page under the FAQs of all cryptocurrencies, but not only Hex have these types of dips. No other founder, you know, warns you like that about their cryptocurrency on the front page of their website where you can access it. But let's listen more and see if Peter even, you know, remotely wants to try to have a, you know, a one-on-one educated conversation or debate. Let's see where this turns.
No, I'm going to go to bed, but what I'm going to do is just hope everyone like goes and speaks to somebody, researches somebody who understands this.
Yes, please.
Like, goes to hexisascam.com or anywhere else that explains it as a scam.
You've misspelled it. It's hexscam.com without the is.
Okay. I am going to block you now.
It's also a referral website that you don't realize, and you're promoting the project without understanding it because you're bad.
Okay.
That's an affiliate website you're linking to.
I don't know.
You're just bad at journalism.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not bad at journalism.
You just shilled a referral link to my project out of your mouth is what you just did, because you're not smart enough to realize that hexscam.com is a referrer to Hex, but you're too stupid to understand that because you don't do good research. You do terrible research.
I was laying on the couch.
Research for this.
Of course, I've done no research. Why am I going to waste any fucking time on your scam? I was laying on this couch. You messaged me. I said, "Yeah, I'll go on. I'll call you a scammer," and I'm going to go. I'm not going to sit there and do any fucking research, spend any time on this because it's definitely a scam. You're a scammer. You're ripping people off. Honestly, mate, I think it's utterly pathetic.
Now, keep in mind, if you look up Peter McCormick today, right, you want to go, you know, because he wasn't just a nobody, right? He had a big following. So I remember watching that live, and I had been watching Richard Hart before. And Richard Hart, when I first came across him, I found him looking into the warning signs of BitConnect. And we'll get into that in a minute. But Peter McCormick, guys, he's got about 91,000 subscribers now on YouTube. Let me take a look here. We'll take a look at what he has on Twitter. It's probably much bigger now on Twitter. He's got about 577,000 people following him on Twitter. He's a big figure, right? He's a big social media influencer, journalist. So, you know, people did listen to this, and we'll listen a little more, did listen to both sides, obviously. If you're not biased, you'll know that Richard Hart dominated the debate to the point where Peter, I think, was even booted off. I can't remember if this was a stream, but he definitely didn't get his point across in a very, what you would say, intellectual manner. Richard Hart ran laps around him. But you hear him saying, scammer. I don't need to look into it. Scammer. And this is December 2019. Now, go back, right? Because this is 2019. If you go back in time, and most of you may or may not remember, and let me take a look at the dates here just to make sure. You may or may not remember back when BitConnect first came out, right? So I want to talk about the things that Richard Hart has called out that are actual scams to you guys, right? So BitConnect it collapsed in early 2018. So it had been around probably close to, you know, going on to a year by that time in 2017 to 2018. And it was a lending Ponzi, right? Where you would earn up to 1% daily returns. You put your Bitcoin into a wallet, you're earning 1% per day. Richard Hart's take on this, and he was warning people, right? So he was going out there, and you got to think, you know, people are calling him a scammer now at this today, and all throughout all the years. But Richard Hart was one of the influencers out there that had a presence with Bitcoin because he was a Bitcoin maxi before he went hardcore into Ethereum. And in 2017, Richard publicly warned about BitConnect on YouTube and Twitter years before it collapsed in early 2018, right? We're talking in 2017 at the very beginning. And the outcome was an absolute total collapse, right? Founders were sued, some got arrested. But my introductory into crypto, BitConnect was like the biggest thing at the time, right? Because you go into cryptocurrency, you're looking for opportunity. I had bought everything early. A lot of people remember watching Trayvon, and like Trayvon was making good money on it. No one understood other than it was lending, and they said they had some kind of bots going on. We didn't know, too good to be true, what was going on, but you saw people printing money. I was like, I gotta get in on this, you know? And a lot of people got involved with BitConnect. But Richard Hart, being the Bitcoin maxi that he was at the time, you know, looking at 2017, he was looking out for people, warning before it happened. So that was my entry into getting to know Richard Hart. And that's years before Hex was even a thing, before it was invented, before it was pieced together into a smart contract, before it was audited. And remember, scammers don't have have a history of helping people not get wrecked or get scammed. I would say 95% of them don't, right? Maybe there's a small percentage that did and went back, so they didn't have any money. But Richard was retired for many years before people found him on YouTube talking about crypto, then warning people about the harm of BitConnect. Okay. So that was my first interaction with him and understanding, you know, his mindset and what he was about. Okay. He was just saying, hey, it's a Ponzi. It's going to collapse. I saw that. And then eventually he had a token that he was launching, and I got in early. Reason being is because I remember him it's set in my mind at one point where I was like, okay, I gotta stop putting money into this BitConnect, because this Richard Hart guy, he bought Bitcoin at $30. I always knew he bought Bitcoin at $30, and then he held it with the 2. And by the time I got in, it was 200. And then when BitConnect came around, right, Bitcoin had already been starting to go up even more. So I was like, I respect this guy. He went in like super duper early. And I just feel like the fact that he made a token, it didn't rub well with the Bitcoin people. All right. So the track record so far prior to Hex was warning people early, and the first thing being BitConnect. Now, second to that, the biggest warning that he was calling years ahead of time actually happened to be Celsius Network. All right. But let's tune in real quick, see what else Peter has to say. Let's give him a chance to see if he has anything, any logical reasoning other than pointing his finger and calling him a scammer. Because to me, Richard Hart always had the best intentions at heart, even before he became a founder of a cryptocurrency known as Hex. He was looking out for people, warning them about BitConnect. He knew how popular it was. He knew the damage that was coming. He called the collapse way ahead of time. You got to give the guy credit. Scammers don't do that. You know, he made a lot of money in Bitcoin. At that point, he was up many, many X's. He didn't have to say anything, but he went on Twitter and social media and warned people because he cared enough to do that, while people sat back and, you know, didn't say much. Let's tune in.
What you're doing to people, but go ahead. I am going to block you now.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll disappear into the ether of my life. I hope you get arrested. I hope you end up in jail. I hope you get fucked by some people. Honestly, it's genuine. I hope horrible things happen to you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just go fuck yourself.
All right. Well, guys, I did my best. I tried. I really A+ tried. I did not expect that. Peter's a journalist. He does interviews full time. I didn't know that was the kind of thing that you could get out of journalism, is like, hey, I hate you and I don't know what you're doing, but I know I hate it. And I hope that you go to jail, and I hope that no one participates, but you know, I don't.
And look at that now, 10,000x later. Hey man, BitConnect's long gone. Bitcoin's much higher now. Hex 10,000x. ETH went up a lot, you know, since the launch of Hex. Richard was in the right place at the right time since the beginning. All right. $30 Bitcoin entry. Warning people about not losing your crypto, not losing your Bitcoin with BitConnect. Creating a built on Ethereum token called Hex. Flawless operation, 5 years already in the making. Now it has a blockchain. Now let's fast forward. Okay. Let's fast forward a bit here, guys, because we have the topic that he called also, which is Celsius Network. All right. And I'm going to go to, we got to flex the hex.com. Let's keep it at hex.com right here. Shout out to you, Richard. Right. It's interesting, man, because now we have the collapse of Celsius, right? Alex Mashinsky, who was also like a Peter McCormick, had said Richard Hart created a scam token, said many things, and Peter loses 1-0 that debate. Peter's down 2-0 after Hex performed a 10,000x, right? If he would have got in with a little bit of money during that interview because he actually listened to Richard, he would have made a lot of money during that bull run that Hex rode. So, that is what you would call it was a first mover opportunity. And it looks like leave my pony alone. Hex glory days are done. It was the new and shiny thing. Now it's not. Yeah. So was Bitcoin at $30, right? Are you going to do a 10x on Bitcoin versus a 10x on a meme token or any other token? No, everything has its point where they can do multiple X's, but it's also down and it also has a cycle to go and has a lot of upside versus downside for where the price is at. But that reaction with Leave My Pony Alone is obviously somebody who's like either had it early, enjoyed selling the top, and laughing now, made a lot of money, or they bought the top and they never sold for profits. There's a lot of good reason to be bitter and upset and really mad at Richard Hart if you don't take any accountability, right? But if you have been following him as long as I have, it's like win after win after win. And next thing I'll bring up is the Celsius, right? Had money in there. He had already been warning, not your keys, not your crypto, right? And he referred to it as a centralized crypto lending platform. Not your keys, not your crypto. He would say that just consistently, right? You're giving your money to Alex Mashinsky. Here's what they're doing with it. It's out of your hands. When he loses it and they collapse, your money's gone. You won't get it back. Repeatedly said that. And he was calling out the risk of centralized lending and how they had an unsustainable yield model. And he warned users that they could and would lose their funds. Now you go into 2022, they filed bankruptcy. It collapsed. So when did Celsius crypto launch, right? You got a launch date for them, and I'm taking a look here. They launched, it looks like, they launched with an initial ICO that ran from March 15th to March 22nd, 2018, right? Then Celsius faced significant challenge, ultimately filed bankruptcy in July of 2022. Look how fast that happened. And he warned you about this. So thinking about a person who has now called out BitConnect, the scam, early on publicly, warned you about Celsius, gave you a token that went 10,000x. And yeah, it's not the shiny object right now. When it's down, of course it's not, right? Nobody wants something when it's down. Everybody wants it when it's in a green candle phase, shooting to the moon. Then you buy the top. That's the truth. If you weren't in early, then you're buying the top and you're excited because you want the next person to buy your bag. Then you're disgruntled because it went down, you didn't sell. Those are lessons you got to learn. And the accountability in this scenario is you got to blame yourself. But had you listened to Richard Hart, where he talked about cycles, 4-year cycles, where he talks about these 95% dips, oh, guess what? You would have recognized, well, I bought Hex at 10,000X. I could have sold it on a double, 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 sold it on a double. And he goes on to about 11 doubles, right? Knowing on his very own website that he tells you that cryptocurrencies go up and they're volatile and that there's cycles, and you could have sold because you're likely to go down. Just like he talked about, we looked at in yesterday's video, how he talked about the price of Bitcoin going up, Amazon going down 95%. He named every scenario. So you wasn't like you weren't told that it wasn't going to go, wasn't going to go down 95%. He said everything does, everything corrects. He gave you that knowledge. He gave you that power. No other founder does that. If you connect the dots, and instead of being so greedy when you're up 2, 3, 5, 10x, sell, take profits, you got nothing to complain about. You got an honest guy who gave you an opportunity, who warned you, who tells you their cycles, tells you the volatility of cryptocurrency, tells you the risk, has given you the warnings. What else more could you want? Here's the perfect scenario. For you people out there that are upset with him, here's what you want. You want him to come on the day that you're about to lose your money and for him to hit the sell button so that you either break even or don't take any loss or minimum loss. Or you want him to come the day of the top, push the button for you and sell. You make profits, you're happy. But it doesn't work that way. That's in your power to identify these markets, to identify the warning signals he gives you for not your keys, not your crypto on the centralized exchange. So now is it Richard's fault after he warns you about keeping your keys off a centralized exchange, off a high risk, high reward BitConnect or Celsius? Is it his fault that after he told you that you didn't remove your tokens and now you're down? No, it's not. Is it your fault when Hex hits 55 cents and let's say you got it in a penny and you hit a 55X and you didn't sell for any profits? Is it his fault? No. No, it's not. So that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the beast. So you got to stop blaming other people. You have to stop blaming Richard Hart because he told you that not only Hex goes down, but all of them. So anybody out there that's upset because it went down, these are all choices you made. And we're part of this crazy cycle right now. We got war going on. We got Bitcoin is at an all-time high. ETH is not doing much. The markets have changed. Okay, the markets have changed drastically. So you got to understand the environment you're in. Okay, and let me take a look here, and let me take a look. Let me see really quick. Let me find another clip. Oh, he needs to turn himself in, and in my opinion, should have immediately. For the taxes, yeah, I mean, solve that, right? Solve that issue. But let me take a look here at another debate I had up too. It's interesting. Like all of these maxis, all of these people, especially with Tone Vase, we can watch him slice and dice Tone Vase. It's the most hilarious. It's the most hilarious thing that I've ever seen. It's the most hilarious one-on-one match I've ever seen. Let me bring it up really quick. All right. Before we get into Richard killing Tone Vase live and direct, all right, on this, I think it's just let me see how long. Oh, this is a 1-minute version. We got to find the full version and pick it apart, definitely. But yeah, so Celsius, so that's 2. BitConnect Celsius. What's the other thing? Another one. This is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest things he called. All right, so now you've gotten a 10,000X. You've gotten the warnings about BitConnect. You've gotten the warnings about Celsius and Alex Mashinsky. You've been told not your keys, not your crypto across the board. You've been told on point blank on hex.com, the volatility of crypto, there's cycles. Amazon goes down 95%. And what would have happened if you would have just held, you know, how stupid it is to sell something that's up 90% or down 90% and has product market fit. We posted about that. I think that we are just in the state of crypto right now because nothing is taking off. ETH's not taking off. Everyone's running around upset and pointing their fingers around. And this is like the very, very like bottom pits of a bear market. Everyone hates each other during a bear. Okay. Or when the price is not up. Everything's up, everyone's happy. Everyone gets along in the Hex community. Boom. It's wham bam, like, oh, I love you so much. Will crypto ever become more than speculative pump and dumps? Will utility ever come into play? I hope. You know, I hope. I think Wall Street gets in, a lot more institutional money gets in, and they take over the blockchains that are going to benefit, which I know Solana is going to be adopted by Wall Street to utilize to tokenize stocks. So I guess that'll be a huge utility. Let's see. Careless about the tax stuff. It's the stuff to do that the kids that after they can't support a C guy that hurts a kid. I mean, we weren't there, man. Why didn't he go to jail right then and there? I don't know. We can't just take a story and say that he did it because they said he did it. There is a process to go to in front of a judge and a jury to decide, right? Because if that was you, bro, and some kid walked up, and I'm just throwing a scenario out there. I don't know what happened. But somebody comes up and attacks you. It's not like you're going to say, before I turn around and smack this fool, can I get your ID real quick? Because some kids that are 15, 16, they look like grown men, got bigger beards than me, right? So we don't know how big that kid was. We don't know if it happened. We don't know the situation, all right? I'm not for somebody hitting a kid either, but we don't know, right? We don't know. What does Pulse not do? You expected it to do. What a roadmap solve? If it's false claims, boom, slander, counterfeit facts, he's running, says it all. I don't think he's running from that. Okay. You get pulled over. You get caught with a little bit of cocaine. You don't want to go to jail. You break the cop's neck. You're on the run. Are you mostly on the run because you had a little bit of cocaine? Or are you on the run because you broke the cop's neck? That's a big drastic difference between the encounter with the kid, which would be an assault, or you own hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. I'm sure it's the taxes, right? Let me turn myself in for smacking this kid, or maybe he didn't do anything. But while I'm here, they're going to book me for this major charge that, yeah, he would be running from. I would agree if he hasn't yet. What were your bottom targets for PulseDex again? Members only video, bro. Go check it out. Beep, 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 beep. Hey, yesterday I gave away, I sounded the alarm. I told you what time it is. With crypto and Colin, Pulse is fine besides the price performance, the fact that gas fees are $1. So let's go to the next big thing that he did. The scammer, right? Hey, tokens down, you scammer. Damn it. He scammed us. Remember, we covered that yesterday when it comes to and if you want to come here too to hex.com, we'll go look at the debate where Hex starves scams of resources. First of all, read about how Hex works. If you already understand Bitcoin, Hex is a better Bitcoin. And it talks about all the things that you might think is Hex a Ponzi, is it a scam and all that. Hey, guys, name anybody else who beat the SEC in court too, by the way. So he might have pip slapped somebody that was maybe underage. I don't know. Maybe he was 17 and a half, turning 18 the next day. Maybe he was 18. I don't know. Maybe he's running from taxes, but the dude has done a lot of great things in crypto. let's look and talk about really quick before we go into the totem vase debate, where we just watched them squash people, right? Terra Luna. What was Terra Luna? Luna/UST. What was it? It was an algorithmic stable coin called UST, backed by volatile Luna. All right. So Hart's take and his warning was he called it a scam coin, an actual scam coin. He said that algo stables will always fail, that algorithmic stable tokens will always fail. So if you have someone, and I've seen it, you remember Elephant Money, the algo stable coin? Shout out to Bank Teller. Failed. They've all failed. And he was right. He was right. He could have sat back with the millions of dollars that he had, whether he's paid taxes on it, I don't know, and I don't care. Could have sat back and never told you a damn thing. But he got on camera, he got on YouTube, he got on social media, and he warned you about not only Luna, but any algorithmic stablecoin and how they all will fail. He said it over and over and over. What person do you know does that with the intent to do harm? And by the way, if you want to talk about Hex and the OA address that owns about 80% of the supply, zero. Never sold a single Hex. In 5 years, has been a benevolent holder of Hex and never sold a single token. The Ethereum Foundation, jumping on them heads all the time. The Ethereum Foundation, Vitalik, a founder, sells on your head all the time. A lot of founders sell. The founders of Pub Fund selling your Solana with all that soul they make, right? Oh, there we go, Henry Flores. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. For the price of a coffee, you get to join me every week. Check out yesterday's video. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you for supporting the channel. $2.99 a month. Henry Flores, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It means a lot. So, he warned you guys. All right, what kind of scammer does that? Right? Was Bernie Madoff out there warning you about anything along the lines of Ponzi's? No. Any of the notorious scammers out there were warning you about anything like that in crypto or in finance? No. So what he had to say is the outcome, which happened, was UST was going to depeg, and it did depeg. Luna hyperinflated and crashed. Billions were wiped out. Billions with a B. Okay. So yeah, do you think he saved people with millions of dollars? I know collectively between myself and people that were in it that left because of this Richard Hart person that they never heard of, that I had told personally and knew personally who found it on their own, saved over $1 million. And that's a handful of people. Imagine the people I don't know. I'm thinking he saved people millions, not the billions, but millions of dollars with his voice and his efforts. Scammer? Oh, wait. He apparently people think he's a scammer because the price is down. You got hosed. Let's take a look, though. This is only 1 minute debate.
Indicator on his website for $800 called the TD indicator. He sells an indicator called TD because it was invented by a guy named Tom DeMark. He doesn't pay Tom DeMark.
I'm not. It's I mean, what the and the
Oh, I'm laughing here. I didn't know that was the version of what that one was. And Tonebase, he gets annihilated on this one. But that one seems to be like a... Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one right here. Let me go ahead and mute for a second. Give me... All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. One of the kids opened the door, so I had to address that. But let's take a look at these. Yeah, we can see part of the debate here.
A good thing for Bitcoin.
We'll
New mainstream adoption.
We'll do like the intro here. This is one of my favorites. And then we're going to keep going down the list because, I mean, guys, the appearance scammer, that's just 3 things we've covered so far on warnings, right? BitConnect, Celsius, Terra Luna, all right? Telling you that cryptocurrencies go up and they crash 95%, even Amazon stocks. Do I have to continue? You see how this applies to this current situation and the market conditions we are when it comes to PulseChain, PulseX? Like, are you not learning right now? Are you not seeing? Are you not getting the reason? Okay, let's just listen.
Is a Bitcoin maximalist.
Believing that if you destroy Bitcoin and some other shitcoin is going to rise to the top is delusional.
And this is a Bitcoin realist.
There's things that other currencies can do that Bitcoin can't.
He's been trading for most of his life.
If you think trading is easy, that's the fastest way you will actually get wrecked.
While he's been hodling since the early days of Bitcoin.
I called the 20K Christmas when the price was 4K.
They met at Block Show in Singapore for the ultimate crypto showdown.
Tone is a terrible trader.
I continue to defend Bitcoin against scammy projects trying to overtake Bitcoin. You're watching one of them written on the shirt right there.
Everything he just said is false, okay?
This is a Cointelegraph Crypto Duel. Bitcoin price analysis.
What's your reading of the current situation in the Bitcoin market?
I couldn't really explain the big run up to 14,000. In hindsight, I underestimated how little exodus out of shitcoins it takes to really pump the price of Bitcoin because it's so illiquid on the exchanges. And for the time being, the exodus out of shitcoin has slowed down, and therefore the price of Bitcoin is correcting back down. I haven't seen any new mainstream people entering the space, and you need new mainstream adoption to rise the price of Bitcoin. I still remain skeptical that the bear market is over. The low might be in, but I still think there is some more downside to go this year.
All right. Do you also think that the shitcoins were responsible for that?
No. See, here's what happens. If you used to be able to do technical analysis, you could draw trend lines, you could buy the golden 5200 daily, move up. But the game has changed. There's FA, which is fundamental analysis. There's TA, which is technical analysis, and now we've got CA, which is China analysis. On the daily death cross, 5200 cross, we pumped 40% up on President Xi's good blockchain news. The Asian market responds to news instantly because they are engaged in a way that the West is not. In the West, when President Trump tweets, he said bad things about Bitcoin, and Tim Mnuchin, the head of Treasury Department, said that it was a national security issue, that they don't like blockchain, and I expected the price to move down. Instead, the price went up 10%, and then the next day it moved down with a delay of lag because the traders in the United States aren't engaged in the same way that Asian traders are. So now if you do price analysis like Tone does, and you don't have your ear to the ground in Asia, you're unqualified.
It's interesting how he calls CA the Chinese analysis, how we aren't in tune on things out here. And I talk about this all the time, right? Richard Hart tweets something in our ecosystem, and that's the difference between a pump or a dump, right? Like pump or dump, he'll tweet the EHEX tweet, EHEX crashes, Trump tweets into the market, pumps the overall markets into the stock markets and Bitcoin, and understanding that there is different points of analysis. And now that the CA, which they refer to as CA, but no one still talks about Chinese analysis, that makes me feel like there's another element to this that I have to put in my arsenal to be smarter about and see like what the Chinese investors are and how they're engaging, what data they're looking at, because this is years ago, and Richard has always been years ahead of his time. When he was talking about this was in Trump's first term when he was throwing tweets. And you see how that applies now, where Trump is now in his second term in 2025, and the effects that his tweets and decisions have. So the West versus what goes on in China, you got to be in tune with the media outlets, what they're saying. I talk about how they will flood or pump markets and how you can utilize that to trade and make money. But that's just round one. We'll listen to more because I want you guys to just identify it again with how smart Richard Hart actually is, how good of a person he actually is, how hard he's fought. It's really easy to be upset and mad and name call and blame him and call him names like a scammer and, we're getting hustled. With all of the things that are going on right now, the SAC funds being undervalued, this is not like we didn't understand that this could be the case in any situation, in any given market with these types of dips. And I talked about yesterday how he says it's stupid to sell something that's in the 95% plus dip or more, even 90%, that has product market fit, that has a utility that changes things. And PulseX does. PulseX is better than Uniswap. And then you have Pump Tires is better than Pump Fund. It's not enriching him. It's actually burning tokens of the ecosystem, which we hold. There is product market fit for a layer one like this, where it's cheaper, faster, and more affordable to interact. And yes, we are waiting for users, so it makes that vision super hard to continue to visualize. But you got to check yourself with who you're dealing with, right? Because I invest in cryptocurrencies, but I also invest in people and the founders and the team and who they are. Good example of that. It's funny how the world works. There's GuGod. Got to be locked into the Asian markets. Pay attention to the price of rice in Japan. Good economic indicator. I've known GuGod for a while now. We chit chat, had some conversations, plenty of times on Telegram. So with GuGod, I learned about him, back in the day with a lot of early calls like PDGC. And I was starting to notice like this guy hits on a lot of things, and he brings them onto like live streams, like with B Roots and Ian, and a lot of the streams. He's like, "Hey, bro, did you hear about this?" And then months down the road, it's like mega up. But I found out his why, GuGod's reason, how he thinks, the type of person he is, his drive, community driven, wants people to win, wants to be a benevolent, a good actor, has built, continues to stick around. So I've invested in him as a person and his tokens like King Jr. You got Crown. I want to invest in people that I can see. I've interviewed him on this stream before. I've looked the guy in the eyes. I want to invest not just in a cryptocurrency that, is made by somebody that we don't know, but I want to invest in a founder, in a team, in something. And that gets me more motivated and excited and helps me hold for the long term. And that's where I put GuGod. That's where I put Richard Hart, right? I'm going through like every single detail of the things he's talked about. We're going back, looking how smart he is, looking at the warning signals, and then look at the true innovation, of the things that Richard Hart has brought to the table. It's like hands down, feels like the dumbest thing in the world to do selling this far down. And the markets aren't doing too well. Let's go to the next thing. And we got to wrap it up soon because there's so many things. FTX. What was that? FTX was a centralized exchange run by Sam Bankman-Fried. Now in the PITA, right? Now he's locked up. His take on it, publicly criticized FTX long before the collapse, guys. He warned about the risk with decentralized custodians, these centralized exchanges, these entities. And his outcome was exactly what happened. Imploded in late 2022. And then SBF convicted of fraud. Number 5, Voyager Digital. All right. What are we talking about? It was a crypto broker offering yield on deposits, right? Not your keys, not your crypto. And the form of HEX is true selfless, what does he say? True yield. What is it? Selfless custody? I forget the name. Oh my God. You only interact with the smart contract, right? To mint your yield. It's trustless yield. That's what it is. I had a brain fart. Trustless yield, right? You're not sending it to a centralized exchange. Not your keys, not your crypto. So he created that. So when he talks about Voyager and having to deposit into their platform, it's like you can earn yield with HEX. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing here? Warn us about it. Now, he put them in the same category, right, as Celsius. He warned them about the counterparty risk. Stop sucking that middleman deed. Outcome, it collapsed. Filed for bankruptcy mid-2022. Same year as FTX. Then BlockFi. And it continues to go on. What's really funny is how all these people say how much they understand RH, but don't realize the sauce he gives with every tweet. Dummies see a workout and fail to see the true messages. Yeah, bro. I was tripping. I was like, why is he posting his workout? But then I had a conversation with a very smart man. You might know him, Retro. And I got a breakdown about it. And I started looking closely to try and see if I can figure out, what might be talked about. I'm not going to publicly say that because, or what it might be adding up to, because I don't know. I'd be speculating. And the person I talked to about it didn't go into detail. But I'll just say there could be something there. And I think really smart people are seeing it. So start breaking down those tweets more, because there's more to it. When Richard Hart makes a move or says something, it's calculated, right? It's calculated. And he's always like way ahead of time. So now that I picked up on that there's a possibility there, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to fill in the gaps and trying to figure out what that is. And I've had time to look at it at night when the kids are sleeping. I'm like, all right, I got to put more work into this, do a little bit of math, but there could be some hidden message. And I was still addressed about that with somebody who I was like, you know what? I never thought about that. So that opened up my mind, and I believe there could be something there. BlockFi. Okay, that was another one. So another centralized lending platform, yield platform. Again, Hart's take. Criticize them about what they do on that end, just like Celsius and Voyager. What year did it go bankrupt? Shortly after FTX, 2022. Three Arrows Capital. My gosh, man, the list goes on. Major hedge fund, overexposed into risky DeFi, but the riskiest one it did was Luna. Can you believe that? Luna. So, of course, it went down with the ship, right? And that collapsed 2022, the year of the collapsed DeFi, CeFi platforms. And, right, Mt. Gox. Now, that happened way before my time. I had only heard about it when I had already gone into crypto and it was like $200, right? But that was the original, first ever crypto exchange that people lost their Bitcoin, right? They're still waiting to get money back. So his take on that was warning people against leaving coins on Mt. Gox prior to the collapse in 2014. So that was actually before my time, but I experienced early on in the stream talking about the early warning I saw when I was in crypto was BitConnect and what he had to say about that. All right. Genesis Trading. Oh my gosh, guys. Right? What was that? A institutional crypto lender that was tied in with Three Arrows Capital, DCG, and GBTC, right? So Hart warned about that the exposure, like Genesis, when discussing DSG, there was a risk, right? They filed for bankruptcy, not 2022, but in 2023 that happened. So we have all these things he has talked about, packaged up and bundled by somebody who has a blockchain that needs people to regroup right now, right? Remember, he's not streaming right now, so I think it's difficult times. I'm not saying if he streams, everything's going to take off, but it'll bring some good sentiment to know he's here with us, and I'm sure he wants to. Maybe he's being counseled that he shouldn't. I don't know. But leave these thoughts with you, right? Price go down doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean anything. That doesn't identify or expose a scammer. All right? Especially when it comes to Richard Hart. So I don't need to watch this weekend's debate. Even though I kind of, if I have time between like Jim Rat and Tiger Crypto, because I have my own thoughts on that. And I don't get involved with that, but I know it's a very popular scene. But I don't need to hear Jim Rat's reason of why he lost money. Hell, I've made millions and I lost millions in crypto. It's no one's fault. Matter of fact, I made millions of dollars with Hex, right? And I lost a lot of money in Hex, not because of Richard Hart, because of being greedy and trying to catch Hex right before the snapshot, and the PulseChain launches and price goes down, and that lesson's like, hey, dude, should have sold it when you did at the top. But I bought back in. I was like, I want the free copy, and I want to see if it pumps more. And it didn't happen. So I took a big loss there. That was on me, brother. That was on me. I can't cry about it. I can't. I can't. All I can say is take this with you. Richard Hart is a good man. He's been retired for a long time. Has made people's lives change. If you are not in sync or in tune with what he has put together on Hex.com and why Hex is not a security, years before he beat the SEC in court, or why Hex is not a scam, what scams are, how Hex was designed, the volatility of all cryptocurrencies, including Hex, and even the example of Amazon that did a 90% dip, and you didn't listen. You didn't listen, and you didn't do your research. And it's always important to do your research. So I'll leave with these quotes here from the good old man, Richard Hart. Kind of like button too. We only got 19 likes on YouTube. What the hell is going on here? I need to stop streaming every day. I stream for Pulse. I'm working for your bags. Like and retweet. Subscribe. Kind of like button. Here are the quotes. Not your keys, not your coins. Too good to be true yields. Right? Like Luna, all those BitConnect. That was a warning about the Ponzi risk, right? Algo stablecoins are death traps. Leverage and rehypothecation will blow up. Celebrity coins like SafeMoon usually rug pull. These are all things you have said out there. What he talks about is product market fit, right? Something that has a purpose, something that's trustless, yield, to identify that in DeFi, that's true DeFi, and you stick to these things, keep away from ladies, liquor, and leverage. You do these things, and you study the markets because he tells you that crypto's dip and they're volatile, and you're in this long enough to learn your lessons and pay your dues. Because of him, you should do all right. But when you fail, because I've done well and I've failed, right? I made that decision when I made a lot of money with Hex. I made that decision when I lost some money with Hex. But I can never look back and blame this guy, because there's a lot of money that's been made in PulseX. And if you didn't get it, that's on you. There's been 10,000x on PulseX. There's been 100x tokens on PulseX. But a lot of you were too busy calling things scams, just not believers, pure maxis, whatever it may be. Our decisions are our own decisions. But did Richard Hart scam us? No. If you lost money, maybe you scammed yourself. No, I wouldn't think you'd scam yourself. But everything that you've done in this space is because of you. So look in the mirror with some self-accountability right? And maybe instead of blaming somebody else, and if you are that person, it's likely you blame everybody else for your, anything, your flaws, your problems in life. You gotta stop doing that, bro. You gotta man up. When you do good and do right by people, when you follow your goals, you don't let anybody bring you down. When you make a good or bad choice, it's always on you. It's always going to be on you. So all Richard has done that I have seen, that I identified through years of collecting all these thoughts and all these things he's put out there without ever asking for a dime for his advice, all the way back to 2014 with Mt. Gox to BitConnect to all these other platforms. He didn't have to do that. It wasn't getting paid. He didn't have to do that. He made a blockchain so that we have a place to do DeFi and earn trustless yield and have true DeFi and get away from centralized exchanges that are stealing your money. That's all it did. So your job is just to keep building. If you're a builder, if you're an investor, hold and stay true. Leave or stay, sell if you have to. But that's your choice. Don't forget, guys, pat the like button, drop a comment. Till next time, we shall do it again. Yeah, dog.
I wake up in the morning, telegram in hand, on to our community, the coolest in the land. Cheese cream drops a joke, got me laughing loud. Then I start to scroll down through the daily crowd. Who's the OG prince, lighting up the zone? Is it Dama Beast or Sav on the throne? Or maybe it's Friday, Flexmas is here. Time to throw some gains and flex without fear. I toss out some questions, looking for the signs. Inside fixes ready, dropping out for lines. I keep on reading, can't look away. Those spicy emojis make my whole day. Then someone yells exit, get off PulseChain, but I ride the waves through pleasure and pain. I live in a limbo of hope and despair, but we're all in this boat and I'm proud to be there. Yeah, I might end up wrecked, burned by the flame, but I'm with the best crew in this wild DeFi game. I might end up wrecked, burned by the flame, but I'm with the best crew in this wild DeFi game.